Did you know you developed default behaviours you did not consciously choose? These ways of operating were formed long before you'll understand them, like the ways that you take responsibility or avoid it, the ways that you control things, the ways that you maybe withdraw, ways that you hold everything together. You might call it personality, you might call it habit, you might refer to it as just the way I am. Life Map shows you the framework that drives your behaviour, and there is a major reward in knowing this.
What's the definition of insanity? Payment is the difference in reality after reality.
I'm Dr. Toni Reilly. This is the Soul Life Psychology Podcast. So far, we've spoken about awakening, why patterns repeat, how this all integrates into who you are. We've touched on intuition. That's your greatest friend on earth. We've delved into intuitive counselling and the power of listening within your relationships. Now we move into your inherent character with Life Map. Life Map explains your natural framework and the behaviours that form around insecurity. It clarifies why you operate in the world the way that you do. It changes you deeply on a profound level that makes you feel on top of the world. So let's go deeper. Let's talk about default behaviour and inherent framework for starters. Inherent means you're born with it. When you're born with it, you cannot change those aspects of yourself. They are your nature, who you are naturally. Default behaviour highlights what you do automatically. Inherent framework highlights why you do it automatically. Your life mission requires you to move through life with certain strengths and vulnerabilities. Life Map defines what those are. It explains your psyche, how your mind works. It explains your physical body, health, and appearance, and even your life circumstances. All of these aspects of you depend on them. And without understanding your framework, behaviour you default to can seem confusing. With understanding, it makes sense and it turns to knowledge and then to self-awareness, which evolves into personal empowerment. Amazing. There's no turning back from this space. Life Map sets you up to thrive through the ebb and flow of life. Let's talk about why Life Map was developed. The most important finding from the extensive development phase of soul life psychology that I discovered is that our lives are predestined. When you're born, there is a precise plan for your life. For some, this can be confronting and this can get people's backs up. In fact, it pisses some people right off because they think it takes away their options or choices, but that's not what it does. The plan is developed especially for the human experience. Humans are wired in a way that it still feels like you're in charge of your life. It feels like you made the choice. And you did, but you were never going to make a different choice to the one that you made. So what knowing this does is it allows you to lean into messy moments and challenging periods in your life. It helps you to understand why the choice was made. I developed Life Map because I wanted people to access their plan so they know what they're doing here. That way they can integrate what's happened or what hasn't happened and make peace with why. Life Map was specifically developed to provide a simplified outline of any individual's mission in life in a way that was easy to comprehend. And the Life Map system is developed with numerology, but you don't need to study numerology to understand your life's mission or your life's purpose. Most people don't want to learn metaphysical sciences, esoteric studies, or divination systems. Most only want to understand themselves and those close to them. I wanted something that catered to the majority, those who aren't interested in the meaning of life per se, or the collective consciousness, or the ins and outs of therapeutic practice. You can discover similar information about yourself through other interpretive systems like astrology, numerology, human design, Enneagram, and personality and temperament profiling systems such as Myers-Briggs and the Hum-Wadsworth temperament scale. The difference is these systems don't expand into how the placements play out in everyday life. They don't know that the things that happen cannot be avoided. They do not happen because we're flawed or that we said the wrong thing or we made the wrong decision. There's deeper meaning to them. And they do not also. These other systems do not reference predetermination or take into account the soul's relevance. Life map goes a few steps further, showing you the circumstances your psyche, mind and body were born into and designed to operate within. Life is deeper. It addresses the hard questions, why tragedy happens, why trauma happens, why certain experiences hurt you, why life is up and down. Sometimes it's fabulous, other times it's messy. Life is in constant ebb and flow and every moment has purpose. I wanted a system that could be understood by children, parents, teachers, social workers, therapists, basically everyone. I wanted something structured, but simple, clear, direct, not abstract, not complicated, not floaty or fluffy, practical. Because when people understand their mission, their behaviour and circumstances all make sense and it changes them for the better. So for years, I sat with people in counselling, coaching and therapy sessions and I saw the same thing. Different families, different history, different circumstances, yet the same themes kept repeating. When some people were inherently responsible, yet they became over-responsible to the point of obligation. Some were inherently attuned and sensitive to others, yet they became over-accommodating to the point of losing themselves. Some were inherently powerful and either dominated or withdrew. It wasn't random and it wasn't only conditioning, it was design. They were all living out their life mission. Life Map was developed because I needed language to define what I was observing. It emerged through intensive observation, anecdotal evidence, through counselling, through past life regression work, through mediumship, and through repeated recognition of the framework. The framework was a pattern. And something else, the framework was a defined cycle. I noticed that the cycle runs. I used to think that you had to be spiritual or self-aware to move through the cycle of life, but you don't. It happens anyway. The process defined by the framework, people live through them and they are changed by them. And basically, they chill out, or we chill out as people as we live into the later stages of life. It's going to happen regardless. And it's not rocket science. It's just the cycle of life. Let's talk more about inherent character and nature. Life Map begins with what was already there, the aspects you're born with, your nature, not what was nurtured, though we can tell that too, not how your parents shaped you, not what was inherited as values taught to you, not what culture reinforced. These are learned, they're nurtured. Life Map focus begins with what you were born with, what is inherent. And we start here because inherent character and nature cannot be changed. Your character and nature define your natural way of relating to others, to responsibility, to power, intimacy, to independence. This is where your strength and capacity play out. Yet every strength also carries vulnerability. And when insecurity forms around your strengths, your behaviour shifts. For example, if you're naturally responsible, you may become over-responsible, taking on more than is feasible. And you might carry what's not even yours to carry. So it can turn to obligation. And obligation then becomes your identity. And over time, it becomes a burden. If you are naturally attuned or sensitive, you might people please. You accommodate to keep connection. You compromise your freedom to avoid rejection or criticism. And if you are naturally visionary, you might detach from practical reality and live in ideas. Sometimes I call it fairyland because I can go there. And possibly you can forget to engage in the simple things in life that keep you connected. And your life can become more imagined than actually living. The strength never disappears. It becomes the foundation of who you are. It's your personality. It's the way you act, the way you relate to others. Insecurity forms around your natural character too. We call this emotional bruises. When insecurity forms when your inherent character meets life, it starts as a small child when your natural traits are potentially unsupported. Maybe you're criticized or dismissed or shamed, judged, or just misunderstood. But you adapt, and adapting means behaviour forms around protecting yourself. And this can look like control or withdrawal, overachievement, compliance, social butterflying, emotional distance, self-reliance. All of these behaviours are just adaptations. They are certainly not flaws. Understanding them restores trust in your own judgment. It's a reminder to back yourself. You will like who you are. I guarantee it. You will like who you are. I guarantee you will really like who you are. Forcing change to your inherent character undermines who you really are. It makes you second guess yourself, and it teaches you not to trust your own judgment. Life Map is about understanding what created behavioural reactions and why that behaviour was needed. It is not necessarily about eliminating the behaviour. Think of when maybe your partner says something that sets you off in some way. Maybe you start defending yourself. Maybe you shut down and go quiet. Maybe you lash out. Whatever it is, if you notice the same thing keeps happening, it will happen until you look at it. Let's talk a bit about destiny and choice. Life Map is your destiny mapped out. You're born with a design. The Life Map shows you the framework for that design, and it explains the strengths and capacities that you carry and the vulnerabilities that go with them. When you understand your framework, your choices become much more conscious. Before that understanding, your default behaviour runs your life. It can be chaotic or suppressing. Seeing this clearly changes your views, and that recognition might rattle you because your comfort zone's been disrupted, but you're recalibrating. because your entire perspective of yourself has changed. It's like a weight lifts. It feels extraordinarily liberating beyond anything you can imagine. When you completely transform, you see things differently because you live from awareness now. When you know, you cannot unknow. Let's talk about life map in daily life, everyday life. You can use life map immediately. All you need is your date of birth. All of your unique placements are there. Life map turns confusion into clarity. It connects the dots in your life. It reveals what felt chaotic and why. And it gives you context for how you operate. Life map makes your personality and behaviour make sense. Something for you to do this week. Take notice of one behaviour that you repeat. Notice what you did. Notice why you did it. What set it off? What triggered your reaction? What strength accompanies it? And what vulnerability is your reaction protecting? I want you to sit with this and let it sink in. Now, what's coming up next? Next, we're going deeper into bruises. I already covered them in episode 2, but that was only the tip of the emotional bruises iceberg, and they're such a big part of our lives. Basically, life map shows you how you're wired, and bruises show you where life shaped you. Life map is definitely not about labeling yourself, but it is about understanding yourself. When you understand the framework of your character and behavior, everything stops feeling random, and clarity equals confidence. You start to know who you really are. Just before we finish, I thought I could show you a little bit about life map. Here is our life map textbook, or just that you can refer to. And what we do is use your date of birth, and we would put them into this grid that's behind there. So the numbers of your birth date go in there, and then we can tell so many things about you. But there are 12 life missions. You are all living one of them, as are your partners, your children, all of your friends. So the 12 missions are: 1 is the leader, 2 the supporter, 3 is this is my system, and I just went blank. Number 3 is the performer. Number 4 is the planner. 5 is the communicator. I'm one of those. 6 is the harmonizer. 7 is the teacher. 8, the authoritarian. 9, the humanitarian. And then we have the final 3, which are called Super Wonder Life missions, and they are numbers 11, 22, and 33. Now, people living these life missions are so interesting for us to explore. Obviously, if you know what your child is all about, for example, then you are going to be able to interact with them on a way that's really helpful for them and for you. So let me just give you an example. I'm going to open the book a bit random and see which mission it opens up to, and I'll talk to you a little bit about it. Okay, well, look at that. We got the communicator. That's a me. But there are plenty of communicators out there. Just to give you an idea of how this works, as a communicator, your purpose in life, or the purpose in life, is risk and rebellion. So you are rebellious and you are more likely to take risks. The objective is what you do in life to reach this purpose. And what's needed is usually to gain structure and discipline. That is something that's hard, and your life circumstances put these learning curves in your way so that you can reach the purpose and work through the objective. Capacities with a life mission 5, you will love a chat. You'll have a lot to say. Usually the interest is in communicating on a deeper level, not so much light conversation, so much more. And a communicator, number 5 life mission, is adept to change. They're okay with it. They love to travel. They love to connect, love to communicate, love to connect. And there is so much more to a 5 than this, but that's just a slight overview of Life Mission 5's message. Now, I would like to tell you that my good friend Crystal Rosenkill Christensen, she's Danish. We are going to be getting together and recording some episodes which we're calling the 808 transmissions, where we're going to talk about people in history and people in life, celebrities, and sometimes everyday people, talk about why and how their life mission supports what they're doing. It's a way to help you understand yourself and also why things happen in our world. So it's never going to be presented to you as judgment. It will be an objective look at how a person's numbers or life mission plays out in their life, what it looks like. So that's what we're going to be doing. That'll be starting soon. If anyone's interested in having their life map done because you want some direction in life or you want to know what you're here for, do reach out. Otherwise, I'll cover this in detail, not only in the 808 transmissions, but in future episodes of the Soul Life Psychology podcast. There's so much that I can share with you and teach to you. And can I say, I didn't mention it so much yet. When children are introduced to this knowing about themselves, that's what can change our entire humanity, because the children are already born now much more sensitive. If we can teach them self-awareness, which is what LifeMap does, then what we'll see are changes in the way that we operate within our families, within our relationships, and within the world. So it's a real foundation for change. That's what LifeMap is. If you would like to explore your life map, get in touch. There's links in the show notes. If you're enjoying these episodes, I would appreciate it if you hit subscribe or follow, because it helps us to reach more people with this information. Thank you for listening. If you have questions or suggestions, or you want to share something, use the form in the show notes and I will talk about it in a future episode. Awareness is the ultimate activism.
What's the definition of insanity? Hey, man, there's a difference in reality.